Everybody, this is the second video of lesson 5 of Luke part 1. We're looking at Luke 7th chapter verses 11 through 17. So if you haven't had a chance to read it lately, take a moment and read it. We see that Jesus is traveling. He did that a lot. He went from city to city and village to village, and he came to a town called Nain. And at that moment, when he came in with his group of people, he had a procession, for lack of a better term. There were people that traveled with him. When he came in, they encounter a funeral procession. And it was a widow who was going to bury her only son. And there's probably a lot of ramifications to this thing. It was probably at the end of the day. They usually buried people the same day. So it was the end of the day they come out. Only son, more than likely, this would have been her source of sustenance, her source of provision. And so Jesus had great compassion on the widow. And he did something which you're not allowed to do by law, by the Mosaic law. You see Jesus doing this all the time, not to break the law on purpose, but to show that individuals are more important than the law. He watches over and touches the bier, the thing that was carrying the coffin, the casket, which would have been an open type of thing. The people stopped when he touched it. You were not to touch anything like that carried the dead people. He touched it, and he spoke to the young man, and he said, "Young man, rise." Jesus, on 3 separate occasions, raised people from the dead. And every time he spoke to them as if they were alive, because they are still alive. It's just that they were separated from their body. So he speaks to them and says, "Young man, arise." The young man sits up and he starts speaking. Now, if you want to disrupt a funeral, go in there and speak to the corpse and let life come back in the corpse. And then he turns around and does one of the most poignant things you ever see Jesus doing. He gives the son back to the mother. Well, you can imagine the result of this. People were glorifying God. They were saying a great prophet is among the people, that God has visited the people. And the report about Jesus continued to spread. I'm convinced that the Lord meant it when he said that the things that I do, even greater things you will do. I think the Lord is desiring to do this type of thing in and among us. I know he does it in other parts of the world, but when was the last time you saw somebody that was raised from the dead like that? I know of a couple of instances here within our area where that has happened before. But I think a lot of times it's because of our lack of faith and our lack of belief. Keep on studying. I'll see you again next time.